was Ray Lewis. All right. I ran a shallow cross. I did not look for the ball. I didn't care if he just threw it and hit me in the side of the head. I was finding 52 and I was getting the hell out of the way.
This is Locked On NFL Players Squad Show, where real players talk real football. No filters, no fluff. Just raw insight straight from the guys who've been in the trenches, in the locker room, and under the lights. You want the truth about a game? You're in the right place. It's the NFL Players Squad on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Week 11 NFL action, week 2 of the Players Squad show. Welcome back. Anthony Armstrong here. Glad to have you on the Locked On Sports Network, the number one sports network for podcasting. Welcome back into the Players Squad show. We got 5 additional faces with me today. Still a lot of NFL experience. Many reasons for you to listen to us. Here to my left, my right, my left. We got Jeff Scanina. He has played 17 seasons in the trenches as a defensive tackle, just head-to-head collisions. What's up, Z? How you doing?
Good, man. Excited for today's show, man. Talk some ball again.
Absolutely. I've been hyped up all week. Then we got long snapper turned coach Bradford Banta. He's mastered the art of special teams, over a decade in the league. How you doing, my man?
Doing well, Double A. Ready to roll for today's show.
Yes, indeed. Let's do it. Jamil yes. Douglas. We were early. We were an hour early for this, so that excited to get this thing rolling. He's been on 7 different NFL teams, battling in the trenches. How you doing, my man?
Man, I'm good. I'm ready to roll as well.
And up there, we got breaking tables. I think I saw a video of you, Jerry, breaking some tables for those Buffalo Bills. He protected quarterbacks, paved the way for different running backs up there. How you doing, Jerry? Jerry Ostrowski is joining us.
Doing good. I'm more known for breaking chairs than breaking tables, that's for sure. But in a much better mood this week after a victory as opposed to a loss to the Dolphins last week.
That is true. Now I got to take that loss to the Dolphins pill, but we'll go spend some time with some more speed. We got the missile with us, Qadry Ismail. He's got himself a Super Bowl ring with the Ravens. How you doing, sir?
Well, I know one thing. The Ravens were built to go to the Super Bowl this year, but oh yeah, that's right. It's the NFL week to week. You got to show up. They showed up against the Browns. Mother of pearl. Barely. I'm still having nightmares about Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. Dude got like what, 10 sacks in 3 games. Just a crazy performance. I think he tied Lawrence Taylor with 12 sacks over the 5 seasons, something like that. So always 14. In the backfield. Hall of Famer, definitely going to be in there. But let's talk about a team that is going to likely get into the playoffs. Get this thing started. NFC action with the Rams winning themselves a showdown against the Seahawks. Who wants to jump in on that action? Because first and foremost, 4 interceptions from Sam Darnold. He had, started the season looking really good. Thought he had that same fire in action coming from Minnesota. Jamil, you got something on that game with the Rams and the Seahawks?
Man, I think it was obvious to me that this kind of confirmed what I thought about the Rams. I think the Rams are a bona fide contender out of the NFC, but also throughout the whole league. And what's interesting is each team will go as Sam Darnold goes. With the Vikings last year, they ended up seeing the Rams, and he had a terrible game that game, and they lost. Now, with what's going to be, I guess, the pivotal point is they only lost by 2 points. He threw 4 picks. They lost by 2 points, which means their defense is really good at what they do. And so I think moving forward, Sam Darnold's got to become a game manager in terms of when they're playing teams like this. But it just assured me that the Rams are a bona fide playoff team, and they have to be considered the favorites, in my opinion.
They definitely, went out there and balled out. Sean McVay, he is diabolical with his preparation and how he gets players in top situations to really ball out. Like one guy, for example, Emmanuel Forbes, coming from Washington. I know that Commanders Nation, they were ready to get him out of the NFL completely. Now he's out there locking up one of the top receivers. I say locking up. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, he had a great day, but he didn't have the day that he's been having, if you will. Qadry, what do you look about that matchup between Njigba and Forbes, and just what type of receiver he is?
Well, Njigba, I love his overall game. dude can run some routes. He can make the contested catch. He has the catch radius of a giraffe. Dude, you throw it up there, he's going to make the play. His football intelligence is exemplary. And so you put that with a coach like a Mike McDonald and has that kind of fierce competitive mindset, you know you're going to get the best out of him. Forbes, on the other hand, I had a chance to see him up close and personal as well when he had scrimmaged against the Ravens in a joint practice 2 seasons ago. And it's just interesting how some teams you just aren't a good fit for. Like in the way in which he was used, I think he's more of a finesse style corner. Like his game is one where I'm not going to try to come up and just jam you every play. I can, but I know that I have the ability to make you think either I'm going to play off or I'm going to go ahead and play some tight coverage. I love how he can, he's improved, I should say, getting in and out of his cuts. The main thing is just don't ask him to come up and do major run support. I think that's where, for what he's being called to do, and it's more of a finesse style for him, that fits everything for him, and that's why he's being successful.
Let's go. I want to talk Bradford.
Yo.
And then we're going to talk to Z2. And Jerry, y'all are going to get in on this because the stats for the Rams, they weren't exciting. I mean, Kyron Williams had 91 yards rushing, a touchdown. Matt Stafford, he put up 130 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But what makes teams, late in the season like this, separates the good ones from the great ones, right? Being able to grind out a game when maybe you don't get your top performances. What's so different in those locker rooms from those teams?
So I'll start it off, guys.
Yeah.
I think it's just the culture that Mike McDonald and Sean McVay have built inside that locker room. And a question that you have to ask yourself going into this is, okay, which one of these two teams do you want to face come January in playoff time? Which one do you want to face? That's, and then that's injuries and everything that's involved with that at that point in time. But it's a question to be asked and to be answered, at that point in time. But I think the culture that they've built, Sean has had, he's won a Super Bowl there. He's come from a good pedigree, the Shanahan background. Mike McDonald's come from the Harbaugh background. I was with Mike at Michigan whenever he was a defensive coordinator there, and then got the head coaching job, the DC job at Baltimore, and then the head coaching job at Seattle. And you could just tell by the way he carries himself. He's professional in every manner. He's a great teacher of the game, as is Sean. And God, I'm kind of giving myself away, but I was with Sean whenever he was at the then Redskins, now Commanders, whenever he was the OC there. And both of them carried themselves in a manner that told you that they were going to be a head coach in the NFL at some point in time.
So, he passes that on to the players. They're going to definitely be prepared. Jerry, what do you see out of these two teams? Just, tough, grinded out type of teams.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I agree with Jamil, as far as the Rams are legit. And it's not just because of their offense, it's because of their defense as well. And I think that because McVay's their head coach, that franchise always is going to get the benefit of the doubt with offense, right? They're going to talk offense. But this goes all the way back to when they made the trade for Von Miller and won the Super Bowl. I mean, they are going to spend money on defense. That defense is world-class, and they get after it. Are they as good as Seattle's? I don't know, but they're pretty close. I mean, they're up there and they can play with them. The other thing I like about the Rams is McVay's willingness to be innovative and actually take ideas and change and morph his offense. And right now, if you look at this team, one of the biggest sets they use on offense is 13 personnel. And we're talking about the mastermind of the vertical passing game, and they get into 13, right? And it shows. I mean, you look at Williams, he had 91 yards on 12 carries. That's a big day against that Seattle defense. I mean, that defense is tough. So I think you look at McVay and his willingness to invest in defense and then be innovative and change his ways on offense. The other thing is this, when I look at Seattle, it's toughness. I mean, and, I know Brad talked about it a minute ago. It's a culture that's been brought in, and I think the Quadri would probably go ahead and second this, that's might be the biggest thing missing right now from Baltimore is the fact that he's gone, and that defense hasn't been the same since he left. And he brings a toughness about him, accountability, and I love the way they play defense, getting back to those Legion of Boom days. But then also offensively, they've got playmakers, and again, like was talked about earlier, if Darnold can just stay out of his own way and use his experience and make the plays at hand, they got enough on the other side of the ball that you don't got to get crazy on offense. And so they've got the recipe as well. It just looks a little different than LA's, but both teams are very, very good football teams at this point in the year.
Yeah, they're going to be exciting going into the playoffs. Somebody that you can, really, want to get behind, potentially see, if there's somebody that you want to, support in the playoffs. But I know there's another team that's in the NFC North, and we're going to get to Z on this one, talking about those Chicago Bears. Are they legit contenders? I mean, Ben Johnson has them playing well. Caleb Williams winning ball games. Z, are they legit? What do you think?
It sure seems like it. Ben brought, the Detroit culture to Chicago, and he gets those guys rallying behind him. I mean, it's crazy. You watch this cat on the sidelines. He doesn't say much, doesn't do much. He's just very stoic out there. Then you get him in the locker room after these wins. The dude's going nuts. I mean, it's unbelievable. He put a lot of passion. So I can imagine what practices are like. It's probably just like Dan, Campbell out in practice, running around, yelling, screaming. But, during the game, he's focused. He's got his players focused on the task at hand, and they're playing great football. And they got that quarterback. He's making plays. They don't ask him to do a lot. They're running the ball more to keep the ball out of his hands and keep it manageable for him to make the plays that he needs to make to keep this team going. And they've cut down the turnovers this year, which has helped tremendously. And the defense is coming on. They're playing really good football.
Yeah, it seems like they're clicking at the right time. The good part about it is, and I know, we sometimes it goes underrated, but they bolstered their offensive line in the offseason. They went and got Joe Tooney, went and got Jonah Jackson, and they've hit on some draft picks. The tackles are both playing well, and I think it's paid dividends for Caleb Williams, allowing him to, be settled back there. We know how creative he is with the football, but it's also giving them a run game, and that's a quarterback's best friend. Crazy stat, 6 game-winning drives in his last 11 starts, and 5 of those were 2 minutes or under on the clock. So they're winning close football games, and that's what it's going to be. This is a team that it seems like Ben Johnson has kind of revived their energy, revived their spirit. And if you can win close football games, especially in the later years in the year or later games in the year, you got a chance to kind of squeak into the playoffs and make some noise.
And I think,
yeah, they also, what was I going to say about it? Like Jerry was saying about the 13 out in the Rams, they're going a lot of 12 personnel and 13 in Chicago,
Yeah.
I'm going to say that because Cole Kmet's my nephew, so I give him a little shout out. He's blowing out, I don't know.
I'd catch him 45 yards.
I'm going to give him a little shout out.
But I also think, too, and it kind of goes with what you guys are saying, it's like I thought Johnson's done a great job of not trying to come in and force Williams to be something he's not. He's got him doing that the majority of the time, but he still gives him the freedom to go out and make the plays that he's known for, to where he's controlling the big mistakes. And when he needs him to make that explosive, he has the freedom to do it. So the way he's managing Caleb Williams, because, following him throughout college, being in Tulsa, seeing him at OU and stuff, he can be a little difficult sometimes. And whatever this relationship is, it's working well. And we all know Caleb Williams can make explosive plays, but you can't just throw him in a box and say, hey, you got to do it this way. You got to let him have some freedoms. And I think that's the biggest part of this team right now is the way Brad Johnson and Caleb Williams have gotten together on this partnership. It's been really good for the Bears.
Yeah, Ben Johnson has Caleb playing lights out different. We keep getting, as Commanders fans and Commanders nations, Bears fans find their way over there trying to pick on us, trying to switch quarterbacks and whatnot. But Caleb's playing lights out, and it's a really good marriage with Ben Johnson, his ability to call plays and to get his players in the position to make it so easy for them to be successful, man. I mean, shoot, Bradford, hell, we're just going to quickly segue, going up there to Detroit.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell took the keys to the car. How's that play calling going? Like, why did he do that? What do you do in that scenario?
Boy, I tell you what, we talked about this post show ad nauseum, and basically I boiled it down to, is it really the play calling? The players on the field have to make the plays. One of the things that I noticed during the game is, obviously with Jared Goff not being comfortable in the pocket all game long, with the weather being the way it was, Goff switched to two gloves. He started out with one glove on his left hand, and then at some point during the game, he switched to a glove on his throwing hand. It just told me that he was not comfortable throwing the ball, and it showed. And there were a lot of targets, but not a lot of receptions. And he was just off. And I guess you would be off if you had 6'6", 330-pound guys in your face all day long playing volleyball by batting the balls, because I believe they had 5 or 6 PBUs somewhere around there. Yeah. So I would be studying that game plan if I were the upcoming opponents and being like, okay, what did they do? Now, you can't coach the players you don't have. Philly's got a pretty doggone good defense with Vic Fangio calling it as a DC. But if you can do something similar, then, hey, may have something going. But to answer your question, Anthony, look, man, players got to make plays. And Dan dialed it up. Go ahead.
I'm curious. I was curious because you say about dialing it up and players playing. The fourth down calls that Dan continually made, at some point in time, do you recognize their defense is better than what we're doing offensively? And do you just say, fine, we'll punt it away and play for another time? Because it didn't look like the Eagles offensively were doing much either.
Right. Cadre, that is a great point. And that was something that I was about to talk about. And Dan has come out in a recent press conference, and he even said, looking back, I'm not going to change who we are, but in certain circumstances, I have to recognize, I, being the head coach and the play caller, have to recognize what is the best situation for the team. And he recognizes that being 0 for 5 on fourth down and giving the Eagles pretty doggone good field position to set up a couple of scores was not the right choice when the weather dictated and the two offenses not being very productive dictated a field position game as opposed to just, trying to ram it and going to get the first down.
A possession game. It would be usually, we found that the analytic crowd likes to say possessions are more important than field position. With the weather and everything, it was flipped that day, and he didn't flip the script when he should have flipped it.
Right. No, great question, Cadre.
Yeah, what I found interesting is in the last 2 losses, I think it was the Vikings that they played 3 weeks ago, and then the Eagles. I feel like a lot of teams are starting to blitz the back with the Lions. You got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Those guys are playmakers. And the minute you can just let them be comfortable and, get out on the route, an angle route or whatever, and just kind of catch the ball and get up the sideline, I think it makes it hard for you to defend that offense because they have weapons everywhere. But I feel like the last couple of weeks I've seen people really try to blitz the back and make them have to pass block. And that's where, we've seen the pocket break down for Jared Goff.
Yeah.
They'll take away those quick passes too, those quick check downs. If you do get pressure, now you got your back has to block or chip on the way out. Go ahead, Brad.
There was a play the other night where I wondered who got the sack, who got credit for the sack. Was it Nakobe Dean or was it David Montgomery? That's because Montgomery's the one that hit Goff, because Nakobe Dean knocked him back into Jared Goff. And I was just like, oh, and you're talking about, Montgomery's 230-pound back. He's he's not very light. So he's got a little power to his punch, but Dean brought it on that play.
Or you could just do what the Bills do and block 5 no matter what and let the quarterback figure it out.
Yeah, they say Josh.
I mean,
is on you, man.
I don't know if they want to see Jared Goff running around like that.
Exactly. That's my point. And you brought up a great point with the blitz in the back thing, but you see that, you see that all the time in Buffalo. They're going to block 5 on 5 and figure it out, man. It's like, what happens? What happens if he comes? 17 takes a snap.
How big is Josh Allen?
He'll figure it out.
Josh Allen big as an icebox, man. They say nobody wants to tackle him anyway. It's like it's not fair. He's bigger than everybody, and then he can slide if he decides to. So you don't know what to do. I'm glad I don't play DB.
I don't know what a back staying in on pass protection looks like, honestly. I don't.
You're wide open, man. Look. Back staying in on protection, very limited. I don't know. I don't have anything to do with that. I'm out there running routes. I didn't want to make sure I mentioned this, that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, they're giving you some of Kadri's $300. Well, it's not really his, but you can get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It's like rookie hazing. You know what I mean? Yo, let me ask you this though, real fast. Did y'all have rookie dinners? Who has a rookie dinner story? Everybody's nodding. What'd you get? Who had a good one?
I shall not speak of my. Know
your old lineman guys. You guys always would break each other off. That was the worst room ever.
Listen, I'll tell you. My room was led by Mike Pouncey and Brandon Albert. So those of you guys that know Mike Pouncey can imagine what a rookie dinner would be like in Miami. So. I'll never speak of that. I'm starting to sweat now just thinking about it.
Yeah, we were actually right there. Yeah, we were actually nice guys. They wouldn't know, and we'd run it way up and then help at the end. So we played it all the way till the end. I still had to pay a good chunk of it, but we did help with the overall bill.
Shoot,
I don't know about you guys, but no, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
I said my rookie year, there was 3 rookies, D linemen, and nobody wanted to go out, so the 3 of us just went out to dinner. The vet's like, no, we're good. I'm like, okay.
Wow. You got off easy.
Oh, I know.
No, I tell you what, we would have our Friday, you got to bring the donuts. And I'm up in Minnesota with the Vikings, and Robert Smith and I, apparently we didn't get the memo. No one likes anything that has sprinkles on it, that has extra looking frosting. All they wanted was glazed donuts. We didn't get the memo. Well, it's Minnesota. John Randall was not in the mood that day. It was snowing out. I literally was sitting by my locker, minding my own business, and Anthony Carter comes to me, one of our fellow wide receivers, looks me in the eye, starts talking casually, and I was like, I'm a rookie, and Anthony Carter's talking to me. This must be good. I must be doing something all right. Man, a D lineman came in and scooped me up off my chair, tied me up with tape. It was cold outside, sat me in the doggone snow with a Santa Claus hat on. And I was like, you guys got to be kidding me. They're going to come out here and get me. Nope. I sat there, almost was late through walkthrough, but the doggone equipment dude comes in, Dennis, bless his heart. He sneaks out there and he goes, hey, if you tell anybody I cut you loose, I'm going to kill you. And so he runs back on his side. I came in. I was like just barely late. Glaze donuts for the rest of the year. I promise you the memo was sent.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. You take the cake on that. Well, you take the donut, I should say. Wow. That's crazy.
So we had the same thing in Indy. And Marshall Falk would bring in Krispy Kremes every Saturday. That was his day was Saturday. All right. So if we ever had any of the vets mess with us, what we would do, Marshall would bring them in early, and then we would take, let's say we had about 24 of the donuts, just throwing a random number out there. So we would end up taking probably 6 of the 24 and carefully open the box, take 6 of the 24, go into the training room, dunk 6 of those in the paraffin, the hot wax, and then put it back in the box.
Oh no! Oh no.
And just wait for the reaction, knowing we were going to get in trouble. And we were just like, nah, it's a lot of fun. Touche.
Yeah,
Touche.
no.
Hey man.
Hey,
Damn,
hey,
Bradford.
I got one just like that. So in St. Louis, going into like the training room and the shower area, the lockers on the side. Well, one of the old linemen, the locker was on the side right there going in. And people kept using his body lotion, right? So he dumped it out, putting air in it.
Oh.
So these dudes come in the next day, they got rashes, hair falling out. Oh yeah. It was one of the most classy things I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Yeah.
Know this, when I was finally a vet and we were in Baltimore, I didn't really care for the rookie hazing as much until I realized our last day of training camp, Tony Siragusa and company, they took some clippers to guys and they would just shave up the side of their head or they would shave them down the middle and they had to walk around. They said, man, you can't touch your hair for 24 hours. Bruh, like they would go out to practice and dudes was just like screaming, laughing. But the fan base was also, thank God there wasn't social media back then, because I can imagine everybody's camera phones. But I mean, dudes had just patches of hair. One dude, they put a bowl on his head and just shaved it around, and he looked like a monk. It was hilarious. Tony Saragusa, rest his soul.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you fellas, but you need a guy in the locker room, especially when it's late in the year, that has that kind of just balls to do stuff. The paraffin / cutting your hair / doing all the craziness, because the season is long and it gets boring. Well, they break up the boring real quickly.
And to your point, Cadre, Goose was on the Colts whenever I was a rookie, and he was one of the reasons why we stuck the donuts in the paraffin. Just to get his reaction.
Oh gosh. I would be pissed off if I got one of them paraffin donuts.
Oh man.
Y'all are ridiculous. The worst I had to do was pay for the food, and it wasn't any people that was even on my team. They just found out I was a rookie, and they're like, you got it. So y'all take the cake on that one.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Get back to the action. This season is a huge game up there, Jerry's. Well, not in Jerry's way, but in Buffalo. Had a friend of mine that actually went to the game. He got to see it live and in action. 6 touchdowns by Josh Allen. Number one, is he back in the MVP conversation? And man, do you think the Bills have rebounded going into the rest of the season? Jerry, lead it off.
Well, let's see what happens this week on Thursday night in Houston. I mean, I'd like to see it done a couple of games. But, yeah, Josh became only the second quarterback in NFL history to have 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns in a game. Do you know who the other quarterback was?
It's like Sammy Ball.
Otis.
Josh Allen. He's done it twice. He did it last year too. So another one of those and the only one type records for him. No, it was a good game. Obviously, Keon Coleman had a lot of – that was kind of the topic of the week. He was an inactive scratch for the game after being late to a meeting on Friday. It had happened at some other points in time during the season, and Sean McDermott decided to make him inactive as part of the disciplinary action for it. But, hey, Gabe Davis came back, and – We also had Josh Palmer come back as well. And the deal is this, and nobody's going to sit here and say that we're looking at Gabe Davis running 4.2s and Josh Palmer running 4.3s and that they added this just amazing speed vertically to the offense. But what they did as veterans, they know how to get separation. They know how to get their space with their bodies and those types of things. Gabe is a big physical receiver, does a great job in man coverage of getting his body position to create space and separation through physicality. Palmer's probably one of the best route runners in the league. He's been on the injury list the last few weeks, and it's been hard to not have him out there. But just the difference in spacing in the middle of the field really changed the passing game for the Bills. And then, the Bucs followed the same blueprint as the Miami Dolphins did the week before, had a really good game plan against the running game and took the run away early. So the passing game was there, and it was nice to see Josh be able to make those plays. It was funny. He just fell right back in love with Gabe Davis as far as, had a trust with him as a receiver. And when he gets confident, it's hard to beat him. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is probably a better question to ask you guys on the panel today is this, and this is a big discussion point in Buffalo this week. Do you take complimentary, control the line of scrimmage football, or do you say, all right, we might turn it over 2 or 3 times, but I'll take Josh Allen with 6 touchdowns? And I think that's what you have to live and die with. Are you going to harness Josh and say, you're going to make these controlled passes where you don't put the ball in harm's way, but that limits his big playability, or do you set him free? He did have 2 interceptions. One of them was kind of a OC's fault in what we talked about earlier, not having to back into block, or would you rather have him making the big plays that he makes? I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to with him in that offense right now.
That's a great question. You got 2 receivers, so I'd say let that sucker fly, man. Let it fly, because I want to catch the ball. It's too damn cold to be in Buffalo to be blocking all day. But then the rest of them are on the line, so we'll see what they say. Jamil, what you got?
I'm going to take the complimentary football route. I don't know. I mean, there's a reason that may just be the offensive line speaking in me, but I believe that with what the Bills have left in their schedule, right? They sit right in the middle of the pack in terms of strength of schedule left. They still have to play the Patriots, the Eagles, the Steelers, and I think Cleveland's in there. And I know Cleveland's had a down year, but defensively, Myles Garrett can wreck a game, right? And so we have to respect the fact that they're in there. But I think I can't depend on there to be a 6 touchdown performance every week, right? So I think that I have to take the complimentary football. What we did see is Tampa Bay was able to run the football at will on them. And we know anything about playoff football, your run defense has to be able to travel. It is cold. They're going to, whether you're playing in the cold or wherever you're playing, you have to be able to stop the run and run the football. The Bills can run the football. Can they stop the run is going to be the challenge moving forward. And, with the Patriots on the schedule and the Eagles, like those teams can run the football. Have they been productive at it? That's, for us to debate, but I'll take the complimentary football route.
Z, what you got?
I'm taking light it up without a doubt. Just because, and here's why, because their defense ain't playing well this year. Like you just said, they can't stop the run, and he's going to have to start outscoring these better teams. Or we don't have a chance. You don't have a chance at all. Especially when it comes to Philly. Because their defense is really rolling right now. Vic's got that thing rolling. And they're only getting better. So I think Josh has got to light it up with his legs, with his arm, every which way he can for that team to have a chance to go far into the playoffs.
I'll throw another stat at you. Every game they've won has been 28 points or more. Up until the other day, every victory they had they were 17-2 or 18-2 when they scored 30+ points, and they were like 2-8 or 2-9 when they scored below 30. So there's a lot to be said about that. And you talk about the run game, Jamil. The running game, as far as playing defense, it's bad right now.
Yeah,
it's not schematics. I'll just give it to you this way. And Jeff, you coached in the pro ranks, and let me ask you if your angst level would be elevated when you walked in on Monday and the DC told you that you had a practice squad player, a former practice squad player that was on the street that they just signed, a rookie, and then a journeyman, kind of a guy that's towards the end of his career. Those are your 4 defensive tackles, Jeff. Now go stop the run and let's play one gap and get after it. I mean, that it's you look at their team that's on the injured reserve right now. If that team was playing, it'd be a little bit different. But Ed Oliver's on it, Michael Hoyt's on it, and he brought just an amazing skill set to that defense. So it's not so much schematics, but they've got some serious injury issues on that defense. Serious.
Yeah, I mean,
Gary, I guess I'm curious. Before you start on it, Z, I guess I'm curious as to normally when you look at good coaching, it's that second group that is being coached up because your first line of guys, they already have that quote unquote talent to be dogs. But that second line that you're coaching, that's where you're really showing yourself as hey, I got this scheme, I understand it, and these guys know how to execute it. But go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I'll answer your question first. Yes, it's about the coaching for your core players, but it's also about the guy bringing those core players in. That's the whole thing. It's you're drafting good, you're getting good free agents. You get lucky sometimes. You don't always have like great backup players. You get like Jerry just went down his list of people. That's what you have, and that's your backups no matter what. I remember the one year during COVID, we walk in, the whole team had COVID in Washington. I'm out there. We had a workout of 30 D linemen. We had whole D line room was gone except for Payne because he had the antibodies or something, So he never got COVID. But that was the only guy I had. Kassoff didn't play for 2 years. And luckily we played Philly and the game was like on a Wednesday night, I think, or Tuesday night. So it got further down where we picked up a few guys like on Monday that could play on the next day, But it was like, I'm sitting to myself going, I'm going to get fired. Because these cats can't play. I mean, I had a D tackle, it was 230. I'm like, holy cow. I went and asked Ron Rivera if I could suit up. I'm like, let me play again. I know I'm in my 50s, but I'm better than these cats.
Dude, your cats alone are 130 pounds.
And I agree with the Kadri that, the second group or whatever, but when you're on group 3 and 4 and a possible couple other guys, it's different. But, and Jeff and Brad, you guys coach. I only coached in high school. You guys coach in the pros, but think about it, man. When you got a really good team, you're a hell of a coach, aren't you? When you when you don't have any players, you're a damn bum and you should be fired, right? I mean, it was that way in high school.
Let me ask you this, because this talks about coaching bios. This always bugged me. You'd see a bio of a coach who coached the Hall of Fame player, and they're like, "Oh, he coached this player to 1,500." I'm like, man, you've been doing that for 20 years. I don't know.
No, I always say to people, like they say, "Oh, you coach so and so." I go, "You made so and so." I go, "Oh no. Mommy and Daddy made that cat." I said, "I just told them where to line up." You got some of these freaks like Micah Parsons. I don't care what any coach says. No coach made that dude. Some guy lined him up in the right spot. Yeah, that's coaching. But the rest of that determination and all that came from Mommy and Daddy now, without a doubt.
One of my. Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, you talk about good coaching. So Chris Kuchark, D-line coach out in San Francisco. We were together in Detroit coaching together. So, he showed up for the first round of the draft one year with this blue, like, button-down shirt. And he was in the room and he was all excited and all this kind of stuff. And we had the number 2 pick in the draft. And so we draft Ndamukong Suh. Okay. So that turned out pretty well for him. He started getting recognized. So we go to the next year's draft. What does Chris wear? Because we had the number 12 pick, I think, in the draft. Chris shows up in the same shirt. All right. Who do we draft? Nick Fairley. You just start. Look, players make great coaches. So I'll tell you that right now.
Real quick, go ahead.
No. I don't want to go, Jerry.
I was going to say, last story, one of the best talks I ever had with a parent in high school when I was coaching. This guy got me cornered at the locker. He's like, what do you got to do to make my son a Division I offensive lineman? I was like, well, I can teach him technique and I can teach him theory and I can teach him finish and everything. I go, but there's one thing I can't teach him. And he goes, what's that? I go, genetics. It's not my fault that you and your wife fell in love and had that child. I go, that ain't on me. That's on you. So if you want to blame somebody, blame you and your wife. It's not me.
He can
I
be a
call
high
it
effort
the
kid.
genetic lottery. The genetic lottery.
Right.
That's all it is.
Hey,
Choose
so
life.
Jerry, going off of that story, so when I was playing for the Dolphins, you know, living down in South Florida, and I'm in our little community. We had a little park, you know, and took the kids over there to play basketball, whatever, you know. And one of my teammates was there, ex-teammate. He's retired. He's out there working these two band members out, right? And I go, man, what are you doing? He goes, oh man, this family hired me and they're paying me a lot of money just to get these kids in shape to play football. I go, dude, they can barely run. He goes, yeah, I know, but it's a lot of money. I keep telling them they got a chance. They got a chance. I said, dude, they don't have a chance.
Hey, man, if you a coach, you can coach. There you go. You'll turn him into something.
No, this dude was on his phone the whole time. He wasn't even paying attention. He just had him running back and forth on the basketball court.
Oh, you called him on cardio day, then. You called him on cardio day.
No, I think that's every day. He just got sick at the end of the week. Yes. He didn't give a rat's ass.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Now, the Missile has a question about pass protection for the big guys in the group, but right now the NBA is back and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official betting partner of the NBA. There's some big games going on tonight. You got KD and the Rockets and Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're both off to good starts this season. And then you have the Raptors taking a visit down to Philly to see what the 76ers are doing in an Eastern Conference matchup. And then, hey, Steph Curry, he's still that guy. He's a solid bet with the Golden State Warriors as they face the Miami Heat. But even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com and sign up to play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
I have a question for.
Go ahead.
I got a quick question for you, O-line, D-line men. The Ravens here have an issue, and John Harbaugh is knee deep in it because both guards are awful. Okay, I'm not going to say their names, but they're not playing very well. At the same time, you could scheme it up however you want, but now the offensive line has come under fire, but you just finished playing up against some of the top guys, whether it been Houston, whether it been the Rams. I'm still having like nightmares with Jared Verse, but then in comes Myles Garrett, and homeboy is just wrecking shop. Is it a case where you go to the sideline? If you're on the sideline, you talking to one another? Do you scheme it? Do you sit there and say, help us? Do you get on the horn with the offensive coordinator, be like, yo, bro, don't ever call that play again? What is it that you do? I know as a receiver, I would get salty. I'm running down the field. So I turn around and hear the crowd yelling. And it's like, oh, they sacked them again. Like, that to me is the most frustrating thing. Yet at the same time, I yield to the group of the big men that is on the panel.
Well, I'll start off. I would be like,
you can answer that
defensive player. I'd be like, hey man, can we get a chip out there? Can you keep another O lineman in there, especially on Miles? You better be chipping that dude. I said, don't be, just like one-on-one. I mean, that's a joke after a while, You got to chip that dude. That's what they did against Micah. They'd be chipping the hell out of him last year, and some of the other guys over the past years, the great outside guys get chipped either by a tight end or a running back or they put in, or they go 12 person on, have another old lineman out there and just make sure you're in front of Miles. He goes to the other side, then you go in motion to the other side. I don't care. You get over there and get, especially that dude.
Yeah,
he'll wreck a game.
100%. He's a game wrecker. Look, one of the things that I respect about offensive coordinators, and I'll talk about when I was with Arthur Smith, right, in Tennessee, whenever we would play an edge rusher who could wreck a game, the plan was always to get them uncomfortable early on. Like, these guys make a lot of money to rush the passer. And the minute that you start the game, you want them thinking about their legs. So maybe you run a split zone early on to get your tight end coming across the formation, and he just barrel rolls into him. He doesn't have to necessarily cut them, but just know that you can't just come off the line and charge our quarterback. So a guy like Myles Garrett, if you don't do anything to affect him, he's going to affect the game. You have to chip the guy. You have to get him thinking about other things. I know he's athletic. Sometimes you could say run a screen. He might pick the thing off and go for 6, but you have to show him different looks so he can't just come off the line with his ears pinned back and get after your quarterback. So I think it's just a mixture of, what's in our game plan? Can we make him uncomfortable from the very start and then go from there and hope he doesn't wreck the game?
And the other thing, it might sound kind of simple, but when I was playing, it wasn't real hard to put pass protection in that week. When we played Minnesota and we played Henry Thomas and John Randall, wherever John Randall lined up, everybody slid to John Randall. I mean, it wasn't real hard. They knew it was coming. I mean, you slid to John Randall, the back check linebackers, and before he went out into the formation, he checked John Randall too. And I agree with Jamil as far as you got to chip, you got to annoy, you got to get those guys where they're pissed off that they're more worried about guys coming at them than they are just running upfield trying to sack a quarterback. But seriously, I don't understand in today's game why they make it so hard sometimes in pass protection with all this different stuff. It's like, find that guy and send most of your personnel that way. And I know that sounds crazily simplistic, but it's kind of the way it is.
Not.
Because if you're not blocking him, you're not going to get the playoff anyway. So we'll deal with everything else after we make sure that he's handling. You know what I'm saying?
I know every time I see it, like receivers feel disrespected when you see one-on-one coverage. And
Right.
I know I hate seeing a sack happen and then you see it was a tight end that was blocking. I'm like, why is there even a tight end doing that alone? Like, what would make the tackle slide away? As a tight end, I would be like, check that. No, Jamil, stay your ass right here. Do not leave. I don't care what everybody else does. Why did they do that?
Anthony, is hilarious because here's what Jerry is trying to say that. See, I wore an 80s jersey back in the day. We didn't have the whole single digit thing. You had to go ahead and wear your 80s. So I'm a receiver. Okay, we going up against the Packers, and back in the day it was Reggie White. Well, in this particular play, they had the receiver, me, motioning across and helping out the tight end on a double team. Well, I motioned across, and I'm telling you right now, I was like, I'm studied up. I know the play. Girl, I'm good. Now I'm about to handle this. Man, I saw Reggie 92 with his hand in the ground. I was like, oh, God. I made a business decision. I literally, my boy, he got caught out there on an island, and I literally was like, I faked like I hit him, but I really didn't chip him, and I ran out into a route. So all of a sudden, he came back at me. He said, hey, man, what was my help? What's my help? I was like, yeah, I know. That's Reggie White. He goes, yeah, that's right. That's Reggie White. I made the biggest business decision of my life, bro. I felt so bad, but I was like, man, he came off that edge, and I everything, all my football senses, it left me. It left me.
Yeah, you went fight or flight. You went straight, human instincts kicked in.
I played against Reggie myself. Reggie was my favorite player in high school. I grew up outside of Philadelphia. Played Reggie in Green Bay towards the end of his career, and yes, he did hump move me about 3 times. But the whole entire game, I was calling him Mr. White, and he's looking at me, and I'm calling him Mr. White, and he's looking at me, and finally he goes, "Hey man, what's up with this Mr. White?" I said, "Well, Reggie," I said, "you remember in 1987 you spoke at the end of the Sixers game at the Spectrum for FCA on high school night?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, I was a junior in the crowd that night. I go, so as far as I'm concerned, you will be known as Mr. White. And he just started laughing, dude. He was like cracking up. But yeah, I've experienced Reggie in full too, Q.
Did you thank him every hip toss, every hump? Do you like, thank you, Mr. White?
I tried not to move too fast to let him know that I was around. I was just trying to make sure that he didn't get mad.
It's like that sometimes. I remember I didn't get hit by him, but I remember running a shallow cross. And then I studied the personnel against Baltimore I didn't go in there like you did, Kadri. I knew who was over the middle for Baltimore, middle linebacker. This was their preseason game, so he was playing at this point. It was Ray Lewis. All right, I ran a shallow cross. I did not look for the ball. I didn't care if he just threw it and hit me on the side of the head. I was finding 52, and I was getting the hell out of the way. Oh, man. Before we close it out, we got to talk about another well-coached team. I mean, Andy Reid's Chiefs are having a kind of a rough go. 0-5 this season in one-score games. Last year, they were basically undefeated in one-score games. They just dropped a game to Denver, and they're currently 9th and out of the playoffs. Are they done? Who wants to take the lead on now?
I can start it real quick. And the reason why I do it
for Buffalo, yeah.
I also do a radio show in Tulsa every day for 2 hours, and we talked on this today because we've got a lot of hardcore Chiefs fans since 2016 in the city of Tulsa. You know, they've been Chiefs fans since Mahomes showed up because the Cowboys haven't been any good, so they've jumped ship. But you know, the funny thing about the Chiefs right now at 5-5, and this is kind of the comedy of this whole thing. The Chiefs are actually playing better this year than they did a year ago. They're scoring more points. They're not giving up as many points. They've got fewer turnovers. I mean, everything they're doing offensively and defensively is better statistically than last year. The difference is this: they're 0-5 in one-score games. You know, last year they went 12-0 in one-score games. And for whatever reason, that bounce they were getting last season, they're just not getting right now. So if y'all would like to write them off, go ahead, but I'm not. They will be right where they need to be when it's all said and done. But it is funny hearing some of the negativity. I mean, even people calling in going, Andy Reid's wasted Patrick Mahomes' best years of his career. And I'm going, are we serious right now?
Can't listen to that.
Yeah, you can. So anyway, I think that they're fine. They're just not getting the bounces like they did last year.
No,
Gary, it's interesting because I think when you look at the totality of the AFC and they're sitting at that 5-5. I know the Ravens are sitting at 5-5. Yet I think the only way for the Chiefs to really get into the playoffs will be through their division. But I think that's where the Broncos are looking, and heck, even right now the Chargers are ahead of them in the division.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to be able to win their division. That's kind of the crazy thing, because even for, say, Pittsburgh as well as Baltimore, both of them are going to be jockeying for who can win the AFC North. It seems like, as much as, yes, they could, get on a roll, but it also seems like every other team has already made so much progress, and they've built up so much equity that by the time it does come down to those final few games, it might not matter.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs squeak in there, man. I feel like, I thought the Chargers were going to be better than what they were. They've been a little too inconsistent for me. And so I think the Chargers have a harder schedule coming up to finish the season. And, the Chiefs have a big game this week versus the Colts. Like, it's hard for me to count out Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, and then Steve Spagnuolo on the defensive side of the ball. I think that the experience matters. I think that when it counts, this team is going to figure out a way to get in. And so I don't want to say that they're done, but it is a steep climb. I just think that the Chargers are going to kind of slip and fall and let them in.
I can see that because I don't see the AFC North. They're not going to have two people go. The AFC South, you may be flirting at Jacksonville, finding a way to sneak in there. But since they've added that seventh team, that kind of changes things up a little bit. You know what Belichick always said? You just got to get in the tournament. So, hey, you know what? That's a wrap on this week 2 episode of Player Squad Show over here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with me for the hour and listening to us chop it up and tell all these funny stories. Y'all got me rolling on the donuts, so Kadri. Every time I go out, I'm like, let me just get a plain donut. If y'all mess that up, I can't go back. But now you got wax donuts and then sprinkling donuts. But anyways, y'all tap in. Stay tuned for the next episode of the NFL Player Squad Show next week on Locked On Podcast Network. We'll talk to you later.